Howdy, howdy, fellas. Got a World of Warships Legends match in the Admiral Schroder today. There's my stats. I don't like this ship. I'll just come out and say it. It's a fan favorite. I think a lot of people do like it. I just don't. I just don't. Yeah, I'm running Nonomi on it. Weirdly enough, the most fun I've had with it is with Azure Lane, Graf Spee build where you go like kind of maximum concealment. You pick up fire chance in the first row, Pipper, Mikawa, inspirations, and so your concealment and secondary range ends up being a similar delta to this. This with Nonomi, you are what 11-3 and then 10-7, and so you end up with like a 9-7, 9-3 or something like that split. So you don't get like stealth secondaries or something like that. Still on the lookout for that. But I found that it was quite effective as you can just kind of charge into a capture point and speed boost sonar the destroyer and almost guarantee a kill. That was a lot of fun. That's kind of why some of the average damage on that, the stats are probably a lot lower than you might expect for how most people play Schroder. This is a more typical match, or a more typical build. The Schroder, it's one of those ships that it feels like, I don't know, my secondaries just do like negative damage with it sometimes. Um, in some ways it kind of has to be a skill issue, right? Like if I'm not positioning properly, like my build is basically full. Like yeah, I could pick up another level on the inspirations. My Nanomi's not maxed either, so it's like yeah, there's a little more room in the build for whatever, but at a certain it's close enough. I would consider it a basically maxed secondary build. If my secondaries aren't doing damage, their AI like it's something I'm doing. So I've tried to kind of work on it a little bit, but also it's just not that fun. I just don't love it. I'd rather be in control, so I just haven't spent a ton of time working on it. Ugh, Aki. These torpedoes, man. Thankfully they don't do a ton of damage, but that's a lot of torpedoes, guys. I don't know. We'll see about that. We'll see about that. I'm already kind of on the outs with battleships anyway, but that's rough. That's a lot of stuff. We are positioning on this flank. I'm hoping to get some shots over the island. Like again, this is a thing I've seen other better Schroder captains pull off. So that's what I'm attempting here, but it's kind of like not really doing anything. I feel like in most, like if I was in Dalian right now, I would have been like wrecking these guys. But instead, like I can't even lob the island and hope. Like your secondary, you're at the mercy of your secondaries, kind of deciding that they can fire. You don't get to kind of go for it on some, like sometimes you can hit that super high part of the superstructure or something like that. Like they just won't shoot. And that's just annoying to me. You saw the Zhao kind of like, hey dudes, help me out. And honestly, that's how I feel right now. We're 4 minutes into the match and I've got 7,000 damage done. I'm like, yeah, I want to shoot. So I'm trying to get the angle here. Yeah, the secondary start going off. So I've got, yeah, I think I said 10-7 range. The Yamato is just in range and they start going. And you see like we're getting some hits, but it's like 500. Like, Okay, that's main gun. It's like 505. Okay, and then like finally they start dialing in a little bit, but this is the feeling that I have a lot when I'm playing the Schroder. It's like I could be doing better with just more traditional main guns right now. And I wouldn't feel as limited. But this, you know, to be fair, is starting to tick up right now, so I gotta give credit for that. But it's also like, yeah, you know, a minute for 30,000 damage, like, I don't know, it's just not that spicy to me, so there's a few better examples later, but I think that this sequence is a reasonable example of why the ship isn't my favorite, you know, and I do like the Michelangelo. I don't think I would have been able to charge into that with the Michelangelo, but with the rolling smoke and torpedoes and the just raw damage on the sap secondaries, I often feel like I have a better chance to kind of force it with the Michelangelo than I do with the Schroder. People say the Schroder is tankier, and I think that's technically true, but neither of these guys are going to hold up broadside to anything, and most of the stuff that you see will overmatch your nose anyway. Like, yes, the Schroder has 27. Oh, this salve. That's it on the Ohio. What was that? What was that? It's like I get those hit with those all the time, but like, where did that go? He was not, you know, whatever, bounced off something, went in the roof, whatever. That was nuts. But anyway, I don't know. Schroeder's just whatever. I had a decent whack on that. And, you know, in the Michelangelo, I would have been using probably HE, because I do run HE on the Michelangelo. Sets and fires. I think even the sap secondaries. I don't know. I like Michelangelo better. This is the only Schroder video I'm probably ever gonna make, because this is it. We got the wind roses. Well, you know, we got, spoiler alert, we sneak it out on this one. Yeah, I don't know. But to the match, you know, Arzal's kind of swung back around. This Ohio's going around. This Yamato actually does. This is something that I think could have easily gone wrong for him, because he's kind of showing his nose right there. If the Ohio had been ready for him, I think this could have gone very wrong. But it ends up working out. Here I'm trying to do the same thing again, trying to get secondaries in range to hopefully fire over the island, but yet again, it's like, I just wish I was in something that I could shoot. Yeah, maybe I should have been shooting HE on some of these shots, but I still do think the AP on the Schroder is decent. Shatters, notwithstanding. And the HE doesn't impress me, so I tend to keep AP loaded for the shots that show up and will work, rather than the possibly more consistent but kind of always underwhelming HE. So, but again, I'm not the best at it. I don't love it. Maybe that's wrong. Here we start, you know, we start getting some ticks on the Alaska, and I think this is maybe one of the things that maybe this is a bit of the issue that I have with the Schroder, is I think it actually does pretty well against nose in ships, and I've spent the entire rest of my career trying to not be fighting nose in ships. So maybe that's why people like it, is like you can kind of, if you get that nose in ship, it doesn't really matter as much. In some sense, that's actually what you want. Yeah, I don't know. Just musing, thinking. The Ohio goes down, so now it's kind of time to push in. I would like to get this Alaska gone so I can move on to that Aki behind him. I'm trying to hit the flat part of the Alaska stern. We get a bunch of shatters, which is weird. I think I might hit the turret. But here the secondaries are going off, and that's where I can see that is like this. He's just like boom, 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 boom. That damage is racking up there, and again to that like stern bow. When you get the 32 millimeters from a lot of these type of ships that you will face, that this thing is good at taking on. That works. So I can see that. Maybe I just not playing it to its strengths. Maybe I'm just kind of always looking for those broadside shots where really I should be trying to force or look for, take advantage of opportunities where I've got a nose-in ship, I can angle to it and then just kind of chip it down and burn it down. So, whoops. Controller disconnected there. Hopefully that didn't turn off my sound. We'll check. Yeah, as you can see, we used the side armor there to bounce the Aki's salvo. Yaki has Yamato guns almost. I am almost positive it has standard pin angles, which the Yamato has improved pin angles, and I think that makes a big difference. Here we get 2 citadels, hooray. It does have more or less the Yamato armor profile, but then we also see the secondaries just like belt shattering like crazy, to my point about you need the bow or stern, especially at closer range, to get that actual damage done. And yeah, he goes down. Here we're up, but then our GK goes down. And so here is like the clutch moment of the match. What do we do here? So I'm looking at their position. I'm looking at my detectability. I'm looking at the score. We're only down by 5 points. If I can get into the cap before they do and just hold it to tick for just a little bit, like I don't need to cap. I don't think I'll get there. It takes 3 minutes to solo cap based on our positioning. So I'm like, the only way we lose is if we go down. I'm going to look at him. Oh my goodness, this guy has no health. He actually sent me a screenshot. He had 14 health left. So I'm like, do you just leave? If I can get into the cap and hold it, you know, I'm not going to capture the base, but I just need to stop it from ticking up points for just a few seconds. We'll flip up into the lead, and as long as I don't die, as long as he doesn't die, I don't think they can cap either, even if they get both ships in. Just looking at their position, I think that's a Louisiana and an Elbing. That Elbing, like, that is really far away. I didn't want to go in front of the island just in case the Louisiana was turning and heading towards the south side of that, trying to shoot me. So that's why I've gone behind the island. It was a bit of a risk, but a calculated risk. I really thought through that of like, if I get stuck in front of the island and I can't make the turn, like if he's a little bit closer than I think, you know, I might be dead. Louisiana is deadly. So I went behind the island a little bit longer to get here, and then I'm just like, please let them not get into the cap, and then boom, we tick up on points. I was sending that guy, you know, salute, GG. He actually ran, like, he recognized he doesn't need to stay and contest. If the Elbing spots him and the Louisiana Dev strikes him, like, it's just not worth it. His points need to stay on our team, so I really appreciate him just retreating. Like, that's totally the right decision in this case. And it's wonderful to see, you know, it's patch week, and there's enough said about the amount of nonsense that comes out on patch week, especially on a holiday. But I've actually played with a fair amount of just solid teammates this week, and it's really nice to have that happen. So we'll speed up a little bit of the rest of this. Alright, so we'll just kind of speed up. I'm trying to get as far away as possible. Again, just looking at trying to estimate their speed versus my speed and detectability, and they're in the base, and like yada yada yada. Like, might as well use the sonar. I don't think there's really realistically any way anything's coming for me, but it'll last the duration of the match. I might as well. Yeah, and we're just looking and hoping that at this point we tick down, and then sure enough, we just squeak by. That's the Schroder. By no means a masterclass. It's not my favorite ship. I do understand why people like it, but I think in general it's just not for me. Yeah, that's a Schroder. Low scoring game. Capture the base, man. Give us points. They should increase the points from the base or from damage done and capture the base, I think. So, GG.